It was a warm summer day, a prairie day. I was happily playing with my friends. A little doggie appeared, skinny. I could see every rib and both hip bones. But he had soft black and white hair and funny tan eyebrows and big brown eyes, full of tears. I loved him. He would be my new best friend. And my dad was a veterinarian. He could fix him. I clutched a handful of hair just behind the dog's head and led him to my house 2 blocks away. I looked at our shadows on the sidewalk as we walked, mine short, his right beside me. My dad met my dog and me as we came up the drive. I could see the question in his kind eyes as they went from my doggie to me. I looked up at him. I knew he could fix my new friend. Daddy could do anything. Daddy glanced back at the dog, then knelt down and looked him over, expertly, like the doctor he was. He turned back to me, and in his eyes I could see that, yes, my friend was very sick. He gave my doggie one last pat, then sighed, stood up, and went into his office. I turned and grinned happily. My daddy could do anything. Daddy came back with a syringe filled with something fixy, injected the dog, and patted it on its droopy head. I looked at the doggie. It wagged its tail slightly. See, it was better already. I was excited for it to come and play, but Daddy thought it better for my doggie to rest in the shade and quiet of the garage. He helped me lay out a blanket and settle my friend on it comfortably. Then he closed the garage door and told me to let him rest. I did. I peeked in through the garage window a couple of times, an easy enough feat if I dangled from the clothesline just outside. But my little friend just lay there on the blanket, getting better. My dad let me into the garage one last time to tuck my doggie in for the night before I went to bed. My friend licked my hand and thumped his tail a couple of times. Definitely getting better. The next morning, I leaped out of bed and charged down the hallway on my way to see my doggie. Daddy met me at the door. He knelt down and hugged me, then told me that my doggie was gone, that his family had come and taken him home. I was sad, but I knew that Daddy had injected him with just the magic elixir that would heal him entirely, and thoughts of my doggie running and playing with his family cheered me. All was well. 53 years later. Dad and I were visiting, and he recalled the story of my doggie. I smiled in memory as I thought of my little short-term friend, the one Daddy had saved and sent home with his family. Dad looked at me, puzzled, and shook his head. Then he told me he hadn't saved him, that the shot he had given was merely to lessen the sweet little guy's pain, that my doggins had died that night. I hadn't thought about that little dog for over 50 years, but suddenly I could picture the soft brown eyes, the skinny body, the soft hair, and funny tan eyebrows. I felt sad for the miserable little fellow. But just as suddenly I was grateful to my dad for his skill, for his compassion. He did manage to fix him after all.